Hey guys, and welcome to episode 30 of How I Made My First $1,000,000. Wow, 30 episodes. Really getting up there. Okay, today we are looking at the numbers from March 1st, 2023. So what do we have here? Assets, 64,000. That's down 12,000 from last month. Liabilities still at 70,000 unchanged. Net worth, negative $5,000, coming in strong, down 12,000 from last month. Okay, so yeah, down 12,000. Well, we'll look at the composition of that in just a second. Looking at our chart here, you can see the new data point we have. Yep, negative 5,000. Not quite as low as before. We were at negative 6 before. Negative 1, negative 6. Positive 7, negative 5. So not quite a new record low, but still pretty low. Still pretty low. Okay, so let's look at our income. So income statement, look at these enormous numbers. Revenues and expenses both way higher than the previous month. And I actually think next month is going to be a continuation of this streak. So I'll explain more in a second. So basically, yeah, revenues went up almost $5,000. Expenses went up more than $5,000. Why? I got my last paycheck from consulting with Mike Maloney. More on that in a second. I also sold a ton more investments to pay for things. What did I pay for? Well, the biggest change, rent, but again, I've mentioned it before. This is just a quirk of when the payments hit. So rent didn't actually change. It sort of did, actually. Again, more on that in a second. But for the most part, this is just the difference between cash accounting and accrual accounting. The biggest actual change to expenses, helpful people. Helpful people. Specifically, consulting, $4,000. That is Kevin Shen and the Dream Studio team. I'll explain more on that in a second. But yeah, basically spent an extra $4,000 more than I ordinarily would have, plus some odds and ends that aren't really a big deal. So anyways, yeah, an extra $4,000 more than usual. Okay, fine. What does that look like in terms of cash flows? You can probably predict it. So got $900 from employment, but that's pretty much the end of that. There's no employment on the horizon. Yeah, spent, almost an extra $6,000. But like I said, $4,000 is consulting, $2,000 is kind of miscellaneous stuff, kind of like rent. Yeah, just sold more Bitcoin. Financing, probably don't even need to comment on this. This is just a couple $100 different. Nothing's really changing there. Okay, so that's cash flow. So let's get to the updates. This is probably more fun anyways, because the numbers provide clues, but they do not tell the whole picture. And this month is probably the most significant month of this journey of the last 30 episodes in terms of things that are changing in life. It's crazy. Okay. So you start with a couple boring things here. Posted 2 articles on Substack. Again, just like last month, I'm just not hitting that deadline. It just feels like a lot of effort for not that much payoff. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. I just don't have the vision for like why I'm writing, why I want to be a writer, why I want to have a weekly newsletter. It feels like I'm creating a job for myself. And like my subconscious is like pulling me to experiment, like, hey, can you just not do it? Can you just not do it every week? Can you just publish it when you feel like it and see how that goes? So that's kind of what I'm doing. And I think in this moment, so this is a Friday, I think the last 3 Wednesdays, I haven't published an essay, the last 3 Wednesdays in a row. So that's where I'm at on Substack. I also ended my publishing streak on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I was really good about this, batching weekly content for 7, 8, maybe 9 weeks in a row. And then, I thought, okay, I don't see where this is getting me. I mean, yeah, it's only 2 weeks or 2 months, which is not a long time, but where it was getting me in terms of numbers is losing followers on both platforms. Like losing followers on LinkedIn. I don't mean connections, I mean followers on LinkedIn. I didn't even realize there was a difference until the last month. So losing followers there, and then losing followers on Twitter. So like people are actually unfollowing me, which can be a good sign. And at first I thought it was, and then over time I just realized I also don't have a vision for being a tweeter or a LinkedIn poster. Like I don't enjoy it. I don't want to be on those platforms. I don't want to log in every day and engage with people and reply to comments. I don't want to do it in the long term or the short term. So I just decided to stop and say like, okay, I have to step back and rethink my strategy. So that's where I'm at with that. Celebrated Anne's birthday and my mother's birthday. Those were wonderful. Also, we had George Washington's birthday. I didn't really celebrate, but it happened. Bought a house. Okay, massive change. So I mentioned in the last video that Anne is buying a house. Well, she did. We closed on it. We moved in. This is my new office. A lot of work to do. And we did officially move out of the apartment earlier this week, a couple days ago. So yeah, super exciting. So many big changes. That's amazing. Hired the Dream Studio team with Kevin Shen. That's what I mentioned was $4,000. So basically it's a consulting team, a consulting arrangement to turn this room into my dream studio. So background, decor, gear, lighting, sound, camera, you name it. So that's going to be a huge investment. I mean, the cost of the consulting is $4,000, which I've already paid. But between the gear and the decor and all that stuff, that's probably going to be at least another $6,000. So $10,000 total. And since I know that expense is coming up in the very near future, that is why I think March is going to be a record-breaking month in terms of the amount of money I spend. So we'll see. We'll see in the next video. I also enrolled in PTYA, Part-Time YouTuber Academy, with Ali Abdal. Cohort 8, it is the final cohort. But basically, yeah, Part-Time YouTuber Academy. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's for people who want to be part-time YouTubers, but not just, what's the word? Dilettantes. Not just amateurs, just, you know, just kicking it. But also not full-time, you know, business YouTubers, somewhere in the middle, part-time YouTubers who want to make money from it, but part-time. So I think that's going to be pretty great for me. I'm taking that with a friend, kind of two friends. So yeah, that should be really good. The course has a great reputation. By the way, all these things I'm mentioning, I'll put links in the description. So Kevin Shen's link, Ali Abdal, and the other ones I'm about to mention. Okay, I mentioned last month that I ended consulting work with Mike Maloney. I have it repeated here because he published his book like the week after I ended the relationship. Okay, this is hilarious on so many levels. So first of all, I ended the consulting work technically it was February 2nd. I just went and looked back. So it did happen in the month of February, but it happened before I made the last video, so that's why I talked about it. Anyways, for probably over a year, Mike has been saying, I'm going to publish the book next month. I'm going to publish the book next month. I'm going to publish the book next month. So in June, it was, I'm publishing in July. In July, it was, I'm publishing in August. Kept going. And, you know, I gave Mike notice for like 6 months maybe. Like, Mike, I can't keep doing this forever. Like, you're going to have to find someone to replace me. And so finally, February 2nd, I was like, all right, Mike, this is the end. And then he's like, okay. And then he published the book. So yeah, so there's some magic there. Which leads me into the next thing. And I ended life coaching with Tao Te Ching. Yeah, so by the way, I didn't realize this, but I have been working with both these guys for 4 years, starting a 5th year, Mike Maloney and Tao Te Ching. And then, boom, both relationships ended in this past month. big turnover, right? Left the apartment, bought a house, huge life shifts here. Uh, so yeah, the life coaching seemed like it was like he and I, Tall and I, have been for a while, probably a year, sort of growing in different directions, and yeah, I guess it just hit a breaking point. Yeah, and so he was actually the one who ended it after I was late to one meeting and then canceled another, and just yeah, I've been feeling for a while that I don't get the value out of the sessions that I used to get 4, 3, 2, 1 year ago. And so it started to be a commitment on my calendar that I dreaded instead of one that I looked forward to. And that energy was shifting for a while. And I almost didn't renew the arrangement for this calendar year because we go every January. We start over for a 12-month commitment. I almost didn't renew it this year, and then I said, "Let's go one more year," and then lasted 2 months, and so now that's done. Yeah, big moves, but very exciting, very exciting. I also continued building and scaling your own cohort-based course with Alexandra Allen. And I mentioned, I think in the last video, that I started doing one-on-one discovery calls. So basically talking to people about their experience with Bitcoin, what they've tried, what works, what doesn't, where they're confused, where they've found success. So I think I had 7 of those one-on-one calls, and then I hosted a free workshop. And after all that, I decided I'm pausing. I'm pausing on the CBC for now. Similar to pausing on Twitter and LinkedIn. It's not like I'm never going to use those platforms again. I'm just pausing. I just got to pause, got to reset, reevaluate the strategy, and then reevaluate the tactics. So yeah, it just feels like I don't know what I'm offering. There's a lot of things I could offer, but I don't know the specifics of what it is. And every time I get close and suggest it to someone, they're like, no. And so, okay, so it's not that. So I'm getting a lot of no's, which is good. I mean, that's progress. But I'm still in that phase where I'm looking for product market fit. Like, what do people want? And, what do people want? What are they willing to pay for? What can I provide? What do I want to provide? I mean, it's kind of like an intersection of all those things. So I'm just testing a lot. So I'm just kind of pausing for right now. Yeah, but there will be more on that at some point. I also this is kind of a funny thing to include, but I sat through an hour webinar for the Bitcoin 2023 in Miami Level 2 volunteer training. So that happened. The Bitcoin conference is going to be in May. Yes, May, third week of May. Yeah, so I'm super pumped to volunteer. Really nothing else to say about that. There was no softball this month because the main guy I practice with hurt his calf, and then we had just other conflicts. So it's just kind of funny that there was literally 0 softball, but there will be soon. So instead, I also haven't really done much running. I've done a lot of walking, and I just went out and rollerbladed for the first time in years. And then this week on Monday, so 4 days ago, I went for a 12-hour walk. So I went out at sunrise and came back at sunset, plus like 10 minutes or something, which was 12 hours and 6 minutes. And I walked 33 miles. And why did I do this? Well, I'm in this period of what seems like everything in my life changing. So many things. And yeah, I just want to get clarity. I was just looking for clarity, basically. And I find that usually when I'm alone, when I'm walking, when I'm in nature, yeah, and kind of when I push myself to like a physical limit, like maybe not like the absolute extremes of my abilities, but like I just pushed myself physically, So I had this idea on Sunday that I would go for a walk in the morning. Like, yeah, what if I go for a long walk, like a couple hours? And then I thought, okay, let me look for a book to read or to listen to. So I open up Audible, and sure enough, right there is a suggestion for a book I had never heard of called The 12-Hour Walk. I was like, are you kidding me? And I didn't know what it was, but I was like, maybe I could do a 12-hour walk tomorrow. And then I thought, that's crazy. So anyways, what is this book? It must be talking about something else other than a literal 12-hour walk. Sure enough, no, that is what it's talking about. So you can check it out. Again, I'll put a link to that in the description. Some guy, what was his name? Colin O'Brady, maybe? Colin O'Brady? Yeah, he crossed Antarctica and he did it in a bunch of 12-hour walks and like camped in between. Anyways, and so then he started using 12-hour walks in his normal life, not in Antarctica, to just like get clarity and so forth. So sure enough, I just said, all right, tomorrow I'm doing a 12-hour walk. Walked 33 miles. That's more than I've ever done in a day. So that was cool. My feet hurt a lot. I mean, they did. They're sort of better now. They're close to better now. But I think I'm going to lose both of my big toenails. Anyways, that's besides the point. Did I get clarity? That's the question. Did I get clarity? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But Anne and I are going on a cruise tomorrow. That will be my first cruise ever. So that should be good. So that's going to be a week long. And maybe I'll get clarity on the cruise. Who knows what will happen on the cruise. So yeah, that's a lot for 1 month. That's like so many things. As you can see, a lot of stops, a lot of starts, a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts. First 12-hour walk, first cruise is about to happen, first house that I've lived in since I was a child. Last consulting gig, last meeting with the life coach, last apartment, So exciting times. It's crazy that it all happened in 1 month. Holy cow. If all these things happened in a year, I'd be like, wow, that was a big year. But like 1 month. So yeah, things are turning over. I don't know. Must be something with the stars or the planets. I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you next month.